up, y'all? It's me, Erica, and we are down here. Peace, y'all. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. What's up, y'all? It's me, Erica. We are down here, honey. We're at the park today. They dropping cones, honey. I have to try to get in here. See how I'm going to get in here, honey. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know you stopped by. We don't have anything to talk about today. Pussy Valley will be up later. You'll see Pussy Valley before you see this video. But the sun is not out this morning, so I don't need to park under a tree. So we're good. I was just watching Tanya TKO, and her question was to the manosphere. She was asking men, what's the benefit of a woman keeping a man? Was that the question? I was here for it. Let me see. What's the question? Wait. Hold on. I don't want to click on it because it'll go. Let me turn it down. She's yelling at somebody, child. It says, Manosphere, please answer. How does it truly benefit a woman to quote unquote keep a man? There was like for the length of time that I was listening to it, there was, I think, 4 men who called. The last man before I left, he actually, she's going off on somebody. This is not about my pussy, son. This isn't about. Shout out to Tanya TKO. She is, she's the fucking best. Okay, she is one of the best to do it. Shout out to Tanya TKO. But I don't know. I'm so mad. I'm gonna watch this when I go back to the house. I'm gonna watch the rest on the replay because, first of all, I don't think we're gonna go to the blogs. Okay, so go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know you stop by. But I think like I think a lot of them just believe because I exist. 1, I should be in a relationship. 2, a woman deserves me simply because I exist. And it does mess with your spirit when you start talking to these guys and they start like being, talking over you, not letting you speak. That is so frustrating. And then one of these dudes was like really talking in a calm voice, but he was very aggressive. And I think a lot of people think because you talk in a calm voice doesn't mean that you cannot be aggressive. It doesn't mean that. So, for me personally, I know she was asking men, but how does it truly benefit to keep a man? First of all, I don't think you should keep anyone. I think people should want to be where they are. If they don't want to be there, you should not be in the business of trying to keep someone. I think that you should be in relationships that are mutually beneficial. I think if you're entering a relationship with a man and he starts talking in a way that sounds like he's from the 1950s and as if a woman is a lower class human than him, then you want to stay away from him because he already thinks you're beneath him. And you also have to agree that you're not beneath him either. I do find it baffling in a patriarchy that a woman is in a patriarchy in 2022 with the ability for women to protect themselves are looking for men in a patriarchy to protect them when your role in a patriarchy has always been to be oppressed in an oppressive role underneath a man, right? Sub to a man, right? So I don't think there is any quote unquote benefit to keeping a man. If you are a woman who sees a person with a penis is a prize, as long as they're in proximity to you, you are very happy with it. I mean, there are women who believe that. They believe simply because he exists, that is where his value lies, and that's it. I don't agree with that. A lot of these women, their only requirement for a man is that he has a penis. So there's not a lot of standards. It's so weird. I really truly believe that it's very odd in this day and age for a woman in a patriarchy to still look to a man for protection and provisions. I think it's so odd. And I also think it's odd that you are trying to model something that comes out of a biblical text, like protecting and providing. It comes out of a biblical text, and a lot of these men have no relationship with God. They have no relationship to source. It's very that in itself is very weird. I'm like, okay, you want to apply biblical context to your relationship by saying the woman, it needs you to protect and provide. No, no, a woman needed that when women didn't have rights. I don't understand why women walk around and want to be in a relationship where it's like you want to be in a relationship that's modeled after when women didn't have rights. Um, and I think it's very odd. Like I do think it's very odd. I also think that a lot of women should I know it's going to be hard. You're probably going to short circuit when I say this, but I think you should, for the average woman, I think you should abandon the idea that you are going to be in a relationship where a man is the doing all of the providing. Uh, Based on and this is not an emotional, pull at you, because I know a lot of you are like, no, I'm going to find me a man who's going to take care of everything. But the numbers don't support that, right? So you're like in a marketplace looking for things in the market that aren't there. They don't exist. And if they do exist, it's not a lot to pick from. And then you also have to think about, like, after that, the person's personality, their value set, and all of that stuff. Unfortunately, men have created a world where women are looking for money in order to determine whether or not they'll be secure in the relationship. Men have created that world because a woman, when she didn't have rights, her choice would be, I'm going to choose the man that I can depend on for my survival, right? You don't want to be in relation with a man who feels like doesn't, where he feels like some things around the house are for women to do. That kind of thinking. I think you should do what comes naturally. A lot of these, and understanding, a lot of these men that you are in relationship with, they came from a home where their mom was the only person there, and they were probably more than likely doing house chores to help with the work around the house with their mother, since she was the only person there. So these men acting like they can't do things because that's a woman's job. Well, it's not really a woman's job. It's whoever lives here. They're going to maintain their home, and they're going to equally do what needs to be done to maintain the home, while we draw on each other's strengths, and I help you where you are weak, you help me where I am weak, and that's how we function. It should be, you when you're in relationship, again, mutually beneficial, and it should be a cooperative, collaborative effort. Even if you are stay at home, there are women who stay at home. There are women who stay at home, but you still need a mate that helps, not just outside of the home, but inside of the home too. When you think about a stay at home, I think about stay at home moms, and I think about a house manager. That's what she is. She's a house manager. She's managing the home and the property, making sure that that grass needs to be cut, or a lawnmower man needs to come, the landscapers need to come, every such and such. She knows that. She knows the alarm situation. He should know the same information. I was listening to another content creator, and she was talking about how she travels. She travels a lot. She does a lot of house sitting. If you know, then you know. If you know, then you know. She does a lot of house sitting, and she says, and when she goes overseas, she goes abroad, the men seem to help more. She says, in fact, one of the houses she went to, the man knew everything. He was the one telling her, okay, here's the room you're gonna stay in, here's this, da 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 da, here's this, and here, all of that. He was giving her all of that, and the wife was really just like, okay, well, and then she says, in a lot of the American households, the woman is doing most, if not all, of the labor, and the man doesn't even know what the fuck is going on in the house. She gave an example that she in one of the situations, the woman was explaining to her how much the dog should eat because the dog has some type of medical issue, and the man literally said, what? Like, he had no idea that the dog had a medical issue. That disconnected, but probably feels like, because I give money to the house and I'm here, I'm a man, I'm here for protection and provision, here's the money and here I am, and that's pretty much it. The woman was doing most of, if not all, the labor. But she says when she goes overseas, it's more of a collaborative effort. And she says, and sometimes the men are the ones that are the house managers. Not that they're stay-at-home men, but they know what's going on in their home. Right? Like, again, like, one of the main things that I think about is when you're talking to a man and he's talking about gender roles, and he's talking about women as if you're like in the 1950s or 60s, and he's talking about women in that way, and then he's talking about these fantastical templates of, I'm going to be protecting and providing, and then when you look at the actual numbers in the marketplace, the men aren't measuring up. Because if you go to Google and type in breadwinners United States, you're going to see who's the breadwinners. And another thing, y'all need to stop propping men up of other groups as if they're doing the most for their quote unquote women. And it's not true, because if you look at the numbers, women are the breadwinners in their relationships. United States breadwinners, Google search. It says in 2017, and this is from AmericanProgress.org, it says in 2017, the latest year of available data, 41% of mothers were the sole and primary breadwinners for their families, earning at least half of their total household income. This includes single working mothers and married mothers who out-earn their husbands. One thing that I do not understand when Black women do, like, we understand, like, in the marketplace, when it comes to Black men, they're not the best to choose from when you go into the marketplace. And you're looking at the numbers, you're looking at the stats, you're looking at you're just looking at lack, okay? Poverty, all of that. You're looking at all of that. And then when you look at you're like, okay, well, let me go to other men. What you're failing to do is talking to the women of that group. Because if you listen to the women of that group, then you would understand how the men of that group are. And I want you to understand that a lot of the complaints that you have about Black men, other groups, other ethnic groups, other races of women have the same exact complaints. And you're not listening to them for some reason, I'm not sure. But a woman who is non-Black, if you listen for a second to Black women, you would know that it would probably be in your best interest not to go into the market and try to scoop up a Black man. Because if you listen to the women and you don't get in contact with a man who says they're just bitter, but you listen to the women and listen to the women who are giving you the numbers, then you would understand, maybe when I walk into the market, I shouldn't go down that aisle. Because although it's full of men, a lot of them aren't suitable to check out. Okay? Let's read the breadwinner stats. This is an article from 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. 2019. Breadwinning mothers are increasingly the U.S. norm. Most children who grow up in the United States in the 21st century will be raised in households in which all of the adults work. That's one thing I think that Black women need to, the fantasy fairy tale of the idea of marriage and being in a relationship with a man, that fairy tale part, y'all need to like extract that, because again, when we talk about this P-Valley, you'll see this is, it's not real. And while it does happen for some, on average, it's not real. It doesn't happen. Listen to me. Most children who grow up in the United States in the 21st century will be raised in households which all the adults work. Everybody's working. And I honestly, I really believe that stay-at-home mothers should be paid. And I don't know how. Because room and board ain't it. Room, board, and penis ain't it. It ain't enough. And because when you think about managing a home, a house manager, in addition to raising children, preparing, like all of these things you have to do. And that's why I don't understand how these women like Jasmine Brown over there with a man who is worth $75 million. Everything he wants, I would have someone hired to do it. You're not with a man who is worth $75 million and you're doing any labor. Do you understand how my feet would be kicked up all of the time? What do you want to eat, babe? I'll make sure it's done by the time you get home. You know, a goddamn chef would be making that meal. I love to see what he eats when I make for him. Motherfucker, you gonna see what Bernard, the chef, makes for him. Okay, you want your back rub, baby? Come upstairs. I have a massage therapist waiting for you to give you an hour massage. Baby, you don't get with a man who has that much money or is worth that much money and do any labor. Girl, what? And if he is a man who is worth that much and is asking you to do any labor, he does not respect you. He does not respect you. You are a mule at that point. Because why are you doing any labor? But back to my point, stay-at-home mothers, they need, when you're doing all that damn work, raising kids, making meals, making lunch, putting kids down, doing laundry, making sure the house is clean, all of this stuff that you aren't able to hire a person to do, I think if you are determined to be a stay-at-home mom, there should be a tax break. If you're a full-time stay-at-home mother, you should have a tax break. I believe it. I believe that. I believe that. It says they are most likely to be raised by a single working parent. Okay? They are because remember, don't forget the stats. When people actually do get married, they're only staying married for an average of 8 years. Don't forget that. Like when you think about all these things, don't forget the stats. When you're thinking about as a race loyal Black woman, think about the deficit that you're working with when you go into the market. There's 2 million less Black men. So mathematically, 1-to-1 is never going to happen. It will never happen. It will never happen. Never. And I'm sorry to bust your bubble. But if you desire marriage, when you have an idea that you're dealing with a 2 million per capita deficit, then out of those people, only when you look at the existing numbers, 52% of them will never marry, 29% are actually married, and 15% of those are married to non-Black women. I think it's 15%. Right? Because 85% is married to Black women of the 29%. So 15%. Then you think about their education levels. On average, education levels, annual earning income. And what this one guy said on the on Tanya's show was that it doesn't matter how much he makes as long as he's contributing. And not just monetarily, but like we're working together, collaboration, cooperation. That's how that works. And you find you a person, and then After all of that said and done, now you got to deal with the emotional part of the person, the mental health of this person, the physical health of this person. It's not just the monetary things, the material things. Now you got to think about the person. Is this a healthy man? Does he get his checkups? Is he afraid to go to the doctor? He's afraid of another doctor sticking their fingers up his ass because that's gay. So he'll never go to the fucking doctor to get checked up. Like all of that shit. All of that stuff. Think about it. And then think about, does it make sense for a woman who desires to be in partnership to only limit herself to people who look like her? That's y'all doing yourself a disservice. You really are. But when you open, like when you are applying for a job interview, you just don't give your application to one place. You give your application to several places and see who hits, and then you go for who gives you the best deal. Baby, I'll give you an analogy in a heartbeat so that you can understand. But when you think about after you broaden your horizons and you give your applications over to the other groups of men, listen to the women of that group. Stop. Read the Yelp reviews of the women, please. Because I will tell you this, the same complaints that they have, y'all fantasizing, ooh, white men take care of their women and all this other stuff. White men don't give a fuck about white women. They use them for what they're good for, and that's why they maintain loyalty to their whiteness, because the men use them for what they're good for, and in return, we'll kill somebody for you and say it's for you, but we really racist as fuck, so but it looks like it's for you. They're building for their women. No, they're building for themselves. The women are there just to help, like literally Handmaid's Tale. And you listen to the women, and then after you listen to the women of the other groups, listen to the women who are married, and how is that marriage looking, and how long is that marriage lasting, and are you a single mother in your marriage? Like, come on, you guys really have to do the work. And that's why they hope and pray y'all get married for love, because all the other stuff, you're not going to look at the numbers. I'm going to ignore the numbers because I love him. And all he's doing is existing with a penis. That's it. That's all he's offering. That's all he's offering. And like Cher says, you don't need one. You don't need to keep one. They are dessert. Like I say, they're nice to haves at this point. We live in a society where women are not dependent on men for their survival. I saw a clip the other day, and I will play it if I still have it. Of this man this black man walked into what looked like the back, like a kitchen. He walked into the kitchen. There's two white girls are in the back. He hits one of the white girls. The other white girl pulled out on him. And then the other white girl ran around her. But she pulled out on him, and then she got in her stance like, get the fuck out or else I'm going to shoot you. Your firearm. And, unfortunately, we live in a society where the men, they need firearms for each other. So why wouldn't you think that you need a firearm in that way or protection in that way? Oh, because you're working on a 1950s template where you're looking for the man for your protection? Girl, give me a break. That shit is out of here. That's a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale. And if you are, I just don't understand, like as an adult, I'm sorry, I just don't understand the idea of depending on someone for my survival. I just don't get it. Although working parents are the modern norm and have been for years, the notion that most families already have a full-time caregiver available persistent continues to influence public policy, as federal and to a lesser extent state policy making has not prioritized work-family supports. In most families, every adult works. When a new child is welcomed into the family, when a child stays home sick from school, or when an aging parent suffers from a fall, someone must stay home to provide care, and this person is usually the mother, a wife, or an adult daughter. Gender norms are changing. There has been an increase in the number of stay-at-home fathers in recent years. Men report a strong desire to spend more time with their families, but women still carry the brunt of unpaid work within the home and spend more time caring for children, performing household labor than men with a similar demographic characteristics and parental status. Women that are paid labor they perform are important economic drivers in the United States, but current policies do little to reflect this reality. Most to many workplaces and most existing public policies are based on a faulty underlying premise that most families have access to an unpaid caregiver, that if someone needs to take time away from work to provide care, it will most likely be a wife, mother, or adult daughter. And that doing so will have no negative impact on the family's economic well-being. It says, I want to go down to the stats, hold on, of race, so that y'all can see, because breadwinnings across, okay, no, we want breadwinnings across U.S. regions, no. Family income, no. We want race and ethnicity. As noted in the previous reports, the majority, 60.1% of breadwinning mothers in 2017 were white. So while y'all think these white men are out here taking care of these women, I've been trying to tell y'all. And then I think it's part of your programming. Like, you go from one group of men and then you go to another group of men and you start putting them on a pedestal, but you're not listening to the women. Like, isn't that what happened to the reason why you got into that fucked up relationship? Because you didn't listen to the woman, listen to the women of said group you were trying to, date in, and you'll hear they have the same complaints. It said 60.1 of breadwinning mothers in 2017 were white. And the racial and ethnic breakdown of the remaining breadwinning mothers is as follows: 16.2% black. Now you have to remember the population of black people, okay? 16.4% Hispanic, 7.3% non-Hispanic mothers of another race or ethnicity. White women also represent about 2/3 of breadwinning mothers and married mothers with zero earnings at 63.9% and 61.2% respectfully. Part of this is driven by the fact that white women make up the majority of mothers in the United States. While ongoing demographic shifts have resulted in a more diverse U.S. population, there are still more white households with children than households of color with children, with non-Hispanic white families representing 56% of all households with children under 18. It says here, black mothers are by far the most likely to be the primary source of economic support for their families. They are more than twice as likely as white mothers to be their family's breadwinner, and more than 50% more likely than Hispanic mothers. White women, by contrast, are the most likely to be co-breadwinning wives, although differences across racial and ethnic groups are not as large as those of breadwinning mothers. Okay, so it says black mothers are more likely than any other racial or ethnic group to be the family's breadwinner. White, 36.8% are breadwinners and 25.6% are co-breadwinners. For black women, 68.3% are breadwinners, 16.1% are co-breadwinners. So out of the 29% of black people who actually get married, right? So you would say 16% of those people are co-breadwinners. That's more than half. Black mothers are foremost likely, Hispanic is 41% breadwinner, 19.3% co-breadwinners. And then other races and ethnicities, 31.9%, and then 24.5% co-breadwinner. It says black mothers are also much more likely to be unmarried breadwinners compared to white. So for black mothers, it's 51%. Wow. And then compared to white, it's 16%. Hispanic is 25%. And these are unmarried breadwinners. 51%. Wow. Okay. Interestingly, there are not similarly large discrepancies by race or ethnicities across married breadwinning mothers, although white women are slightly more likely to be married breadwinners, 20%, than black married breadwinners, 17%, and Hispanic, 15.3%. Wow. Wow. Girl, okay, anyways, y'all, I gotta go. Take care of each other, protect your energy. I'm sorry, that sent me. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm gonna come right back and talk about the blogs. All right, peace.